Are you recently out of a toxic relationship and full of self-doubt? Are you finding that you don't trust your own decisions? If you've left a toxic relationship and you question your personal decisions and choices, you aren't alone. Watch this video to learn how this happens and 3 ways to start repairing your broken self-trust. After leaving a toxic relationship, self-doubt comes in right behind fear regarding what you'll experience once you are away from a toxic relationship. So this video is to help you understand where self-doubt comes from and actions that you can start taking so you can work to overcome it. If you haven't already, watch my video on fear upon leaving a toxic relationship. Fear is the most common thing that we experience immediately upon leaving, so I've already created a video discussing that subject. And today we're talking about self-doubt. If you want to know more about what I do, I help clients move through several paralyzing emotions, as ones we're discussing today, and regain their life after leaving a toxic relationship. My book, To Get the Fuck On With Your Life, Healing After a Toxic Relationship, addresses the top symptoms that hold us back from our own lives once we've stepped out of a damaging relationship. So I'm not talking about how to leave, I'm talking about what happens after you're out. For weekly updates on healing from a toxic relationship and getting on with your life after leaving, subscribe to my channel below. So how is self-doubt set up inside of us long before we even leave the relationship? Our sense of self is slowly undermined in a toxic relationship. And so how does this happen? So the other person will basically do the opposite of nearly every choice that you make. Express what you want, and the other person will override your decisions and offer what they want to do or direct what's going to happen in a way that makes you feel like less than for choosing the route that you would have taken. They undermine your sense of credibility and your sense of strength, personal strength. So they'll likely criticize you. They'll call you crazy. They'll just put all kinds of judgment on you about the way you do things, period. You're faced with that day in and day out. You actually start to question your own sense of direction, and then that leads you to question your own decisions. Ultimately, when our decisions, our choices, and our actions are presented to us by someone that we trust and love, our partner in a relationship, when they react to our way as asinine, as if we are just doing everything completely wrong, we trust them and we start to question ourselves, and then we pull away from ourselves. So they seem so confident and so assured, right? So when we think that maybe they're right, this is how we start to give our power away. So this is inside of the relationship long before you've left. This is how self-doubt gets set up. And when we begin to give our power away, we pull away from our own self-confidence. Okay, I would like to say that most people who fall victim to allowing another person to tear apart their ways on a day-to-day basis typically don't have strong, solid personal foundation to begin with. And I say this because I lived it. I have been that person. This is not a passing judgment. But if you allow someone to undermine everything that you do or choose, your strength and self is weak right out of the gate. And so that's how this happens. That's how toxic relationships happen. Usually the person that is, the receiver of the abuse starts out with not the strongest self-assurance, foundation, personal strength, trust in self, willpower. And so I just wanted to say that people that are mentally and emotionally abusive, they already know this. This is like the core of how they operate. When you have cracks in your own self-esteem, then the abuser sees those cracks, and they know how to further get in. They hone in, and that's how they target. That's how they target you, to continue to break you down, and then ultimately they gain control, and then you find yourself weak and doing everything for them, doing everything to please them, and so on. When we see our partner judging and questioning our decisions with such confidence and such assurance that we're doing things wrong, and we start to defer to them, and we see them as the stronger person, then they become our filter. And so we begin to start to run our decisions before we make those decisions through them. That's ultimately how we get cut off from ourselves. And if we were starting to build our own personal strength before we got into this relationship, sure as hell it's going to be diminished by the time we come out. So basically, running our decisions through another person sets us up to be cut off from our own personal power. Ultimately, self-doubt is a direct result of being cut off from yourself, from your intuition, from your truth, and whatever you wish to call it. But from your source, you're disconnected. And that's how you end up questioning everything you do, and you don't know what you want. You don't know how to feel confident in your own decisions once you've left the relationship. This is how it's all set up, and can lead to feeling so turned around once we're out of the relationship that some people end up going back, which is very unfortunate. If you've experienced self-doubt after leaving a toxic relationship, comment below. Let me know what you went through, or if you're going through it now. Now you understand where self-doubt in a toxic relationship comes from. You understand that it's likely that your personal foundation was already weak going into the relationship. So how do we fix it? Here are 3 ways to get started to course correct, to strengthen your own connection with yourself, and to get strong in your decisions, your choices, and who you are. So, first of all, it is vital to understand your self-doubt is not you. It's so easy to identify with negative emotions or negative experiences, but your self-doubt is not you. It is a result of things that you've been through. It is a result of pretty much cumulative experiences. And so we can course correct to where we don't continue to go down a path where we're even further separated from our own willpower, but we can close the gap, so to speak. So basically, self-doubt comes from you not being you for a period of time. This is you not being who you really are, and not expressing yourself, and not being able to feel strong in your decisions, and now you don't trust yourself. And so when you don't trust yourself, you are all over the place, and you give your power to other people. You defer to other people and let them make decisions or go along with theirs. So also, when you're out of the relationship, it's very easy to get in a loop where self-doubt may have you thinking you made a big mistake and that you should go back to the relationship because you don't know how to handle anything on your own. That's a hard no. Do not believe the lie. Total bullshit. As I said earlier, your self-doubt is not you. You can course correct. The first few months out of the relationship are definitely the hardest, no matter what, especially out of a toxic relationship when someone else has been in control for so long. The point is, you can make it through that very trying period and you can get stronger. First thing in course correcting self-doubt is to understand that your ability to handle yourself and to handle your life on your own is being questioned by you, because the filter that you were using to run all of your decisions through is no longer in your face, criticizing your every step, making judgment calls, and being arrogant about how you are doing everything wrong and they are, they're right all the time. So understand that your self-doubt is not you. So step number 1, understand where it comes from. Do not cling to this identity. Do not believe that this is a part of who you are. This is a thing that has kept you from yourself. So self-doubt is an adversary. It is not an identity that you cling to. This is something that you overcome. And you do this by knowing that you have not listened to yourself and not honored yourself and your decisions for so long now that your power was given to someone else, and now you're taking that back. And that takes a little bit of time. And again, that can be difficult when that person who's had the power is not directly in your space all the time. It's just someone dictating everything. Enough of that. Step number 2 in course correcting is to pay attention to your feelings. So if your thoughts are a mess, your body will tell you. So think about that. When your mind is just spinning and buzzing and humming and you can't even, make a direct sentence or a direct connection in your brain, your body will let you know. It'll either feel energized and light when something feels good and on the right path, or you'll feel very drained and heavy, maybe even ill. And that's an indicative that, you're not on the right path, that whichever decision you're in is not a good fit if you literally feel sick. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that your brain may just be too full, and that can be overwhelming. And it's a self-feeding cycle. When you doubt yourself, your brain is full of options. You don't know which one to pick, and therefore it just keeps spinning and you feel out of control. So take a moment, calm down, and tap into how you feel physically. So when the doubt arises, how does it show up? So do you feel nervous and confused? Do you speak negatively towards yourself? Well, those are ways that your body, your whole sense of being is telling you this is probably not a good choice if you just feel more rattled. If you feel, like I said earlier, energetic and light and kind of enthused, then most likely that's something you should proceed with. So when you are aware of how your energy shows up, you can make decisions based on how you feel. And like I said, go with the things that make you feel calm and confident and enthusiastic. And maybe pause before going forward with anything that makes you feel tired, sick, nervous, like hesitant to leave the house. Honor how you feel. Step 3. So after you are acknowledging how you feel, it's going to take effort, like intention and effort. You need to pay attention and put intention into yourself. There's nothing outside of you that holds the answers. When you start looking externally, what you're doing is looking for the next thing to give your power away to. Basically, this is the replacement of the toxic relationship. So you need to connect inside with your own voice and with things that are missing from you internally, from your heart and from your gut. So the connection that you have with your own voice and your own feelings, that's what's missing. That is the piece, that's the line that is missing for you to be able to confidently move on about your life in a way where you feel happy and secure, and that you don't feel like you need someone else to approve what you're doing. And so what we're doing when we place our attention and intention to ourselves is that we're reestablishing that connection. We're reestablishing communication with who we are, our internal being, and we're not looking outside of ourselves for validation. This may sound very overwhelming, and I'm probably using too many words to point blank say you need to listen to your own voice, and you need to honor that voice. And that's how you fix this. And it takes a little bit of time, and it takes intention. It takes willpower. It takes focus. Because you may find that you can't even hear your own voice in all of the jumble. And again, that is getting out of your noisy brain and tapping into how do you feel physically? How do your choices make you feel? Does it make your heart race? Do you feel calm? Like, how do you feel, emotionally and physically? And that is the start of how we connect with ourselves again. So what we're doing is aligning how we feel to our actions. So again, when you don't know what you want, what choice to make, what decision, to focus on, and your head is a mess, just take a few breaths and the thought of each decision, how do you physically react? And if it's a good feeling, that's probably telling you something. If you feel ill and sick, that's also telling you something. Ill and sick, don't proceed. Take a moment, pause. You just stop before you go further. Anything that makes you feel really good, and not good in a false sense, but good like from the inside, like healthy, like a healthy good. And that means different things for everyone, but that's your own voice telling you, yes, this is right for me. So we can use our feelings to give us the feedback that we need in order for us to get on the track to make positive and healthy decisions for ourselves. So basically, this is how we start reconnecting with our own needs and our own voice. So in summary, you can get to a place where you will only do what is right for you. And by right, I mean healthy, positive, nurturing. Eventually you get to a sense of purpose. Right out of a toxic relationship, you probably don't have those things. Or if you do, there's a gap between what you know is your purpose and then getting there, getting to be able to act on it, because that's the healing process. So, and that's what we're in. These videos are all about the most common results after a toxic relationship and where they come from and how to overcome them. So we're not just wanting to overcome them, but we want to move through them so that we can connect with ourselves, connect with our willpower, and get our life back. So when we are aware of our own feelings and we are functioning from a place where we have positive feelings, that is positive feedback. And you do that enough with intention, and you choose the things that make you feel good and that feel right and that don't continue to wear you down, make you tired and ill and distracted, then you will get to a very healthy place of personal power. So just know that you'll be able to recognize poor options, and then you'll quickly know that those options aren't for you, and there's no way you'll go down that path. You just simply won't. But it starts with connecting with your feelings and choosing the positive feelings. And that takes intention, and that takes your attention to give it to yourself and not externally to other people, other distractions, happy hour. Just no, we got to cut external distractions out when we are healing ourselves from mental and emotional abuse. So now you know that self-doubt is not really you, and now you know ways to stop self-doubt from hijacking your life and hijacking your ability to live in a positive and confident manner. So in order to do that, you need to reconnect with your own voice and your own emotions and not just spin in that self-feeding cycle that goes on in your brain. So your own voice and your own emotions have been missing from your life. That's why you have a hard time making your own decisions. So, unfortunately, self-doubt doesn't work alone. Self-doubt often leads to mental fatigue and indecision. So, watch my next video in this series of 5 top results of a toxic relationship, where I'm talking about the common symptoms we experience when we walk away from a toxic relationship. If you want to know more about how I help others get the fuck on with their lives after leaving a toxic relationship and my personal story, check out my website and my book. The links are down below. My focus and work is moving through these negative and stuck emotions. If this video is helpful, please let me know by leaving a comment or liking, or you can subscribe for more content on healing after a toxic relationship, or share it with anyone you know who may need help after leaving a mentally or emotionally abusive relationship.